Okay, review over roots and radicals, kind of video part 2. Okay, now all I want you to find out on this is what the fourth root of 6 is equal to. So I find that by taking 6, not to the fourth power, but to the 1/4 power. So 6 power 1/4. 1.57 or 1.56. I don't care if you missed the rounding part, that's fine. Now, this particular one is an even root, so it could be positive or negative. Okay, now I had to make a new root sheet on the fly because I don't know where my other copies went. And I want you to change this problem. I want you to put a coefficient of 2 here and a coefficient of 3 here. Just cause. Okay, we're multiplying the roots together, so that's a 3-step procedure. The first thing I do is take 2 times 3. That gives me 6. Then I make a root. It is a cubed root. And then I take 16 times 54. 864. But you got to remember, you're not done, son. There's 2 more steps. So drop your 6 and write that as a product of 2 different square roots, or not square roots, sorry, cubed roots. Okay, now I need to look at the perfect cubes list and see what 864 possibly divides by, okay? Well, 512, that fails. 343, failure. 216, bingo. So I divided by 216, and I came up with 4. So your cubed root of 216 goes away because that's equal to 6. So 6, and 6 times 6 is 36. So 36 cubed root 4. Okay, the next problem. 4 cubed roots of 7 plus 2 cubed roots of 448. Now this is addition, so let's set up our table. So 4 cubed root 7, and then 2 cubed root 448. Okay, so there's 2 steps to simplify these. You drop your 4 and write that as a product of 2 different cubed roots. But I look at my perfect cubes list, and I got bad news. 5 is not divisible by any of the perfect cubes. So if I can't find anything to divide by, I'm just going to stick with him. Okay, then here 2 times cubed root times cubed root. 448 be somewhere in here, so 448 divided by 343 is a fail. 448 divided by 216, that's a fail. 448 divided by 125 is a failure. 448 divided by 64 is a success. So I divided by 64 and I got 7. Now this is not 8 because it's a cubed root. And the cubed root of 64 equals 4. Then I multiply 2 times 4, and that's 8 with a cubed root of 7, and there we go. So as I can see, what's the same? The cubed root over 7. And then I add my 2 outsides. 4 plus 8 is 12. Okay, the cubed root of 480, x to the 5th, y to the 11th, z to the 3rd. So we want to break that up. Cubed root 480, the cubed root of x to the 5th, the cubed root of y to the 11th, and the cubed root of z to the 3rd. Okay, so 480, we do this from our list. So 480, perfect cube. No. 480 divided by 343, fail. 480 divided by 216, fail. 480 divided by 125 is a failure. 3.84 isn't going to work. 480 divided by 64, failure. 480 divided by 27, failure. I guess it's 8 or we can't do, okay, got it. So I divided by 8 and I got a quotient of 60. So cross out your cubed root of 8 because we know the cubed root of 8 equals 2. Okay. All right, so how many groups of 3 can you get out of 5? You can get 1 with 2 left over. How many groups of 3 can you get out of 11? Well, I can get 3, 6, 9. That'd be 3 with 2 left over. How many groups of 3 can you get out of 3? Well, you can get only 1, and there's none left over, so that we won't have a root there. So with my root, I have a 2 outside, a 60 inside. I have x outside, x squared inside. I have y cubed outside, and y to the second power inside. And then I have a z, but that's outside, and there are no z's inside. And it's a cubed root, so put a little 3 there. Okay, now you can put your root sheet away. You don't need it for the rest of this review. Okay, solving equations for x. So let's decide, first off, let's look through the 5 equations and decide what we're going to do to solve. Anytime I have any kind of root to start, circle it. Root, circle it. There's a root, circle it. This is no root, x to the third power, no parentheses. It's only x you have, so just box it up, and we're going to get that by itself. And now I have an x with a power and a parentheses, so I'm going to need to put my q and then my table. Okay? Hopefully that might help. Okay, so when I'm solving square roots, do I have anything outside this little bubble? I do not, so I can go get rid of my square root by taking both sides to the second power. So the square root and the second power cancel, and I have 5x plus 1. And this 2 is just a power, 6 to the second power. Okay, 6 to the second. By the way, it's not 6 to the 1/2 power. Over on this side, you don't see a root, so it's just 6 to the second power, 6 times itself. It's 36. So there's one answer, and now let's find it. Minus 1, 5 times x equals 35. Divide by 5, and x equals 7. Okay, my next one. Now, before I do the second power, I need to get rid of the 7 by adding it. And after I do that, I need to get rid of the 8 by dividing. So plus 7, that takes me to 16. Now I've got 8 square root 10x. There's still this 8 outside, but when it's in front, you divide. So divide by 8, divide by 8. That's 2. So the square root of 10x. Now I don't have anything outside the square root, so I take both sides to our second power. And the second power and the square root cancel like that, and I get 10x. And then it's 2 to the second power, 2 times itself, that's 4. And there's one answer, and I just divide by 10. Okay, x is 0.4. You can leave it as 4 over 10 or 2/5, one of the two. I don't care how it's written, just get the right answer. Okay, anything outside your root here? Nope. So I'm free to do the second power. This side cancels, and it gives me 9x. This side does not cancel, so I have x minus 10 to the second. So I need to duplicate that and FOIL it. So x times x times negative 10. Remember, that's a negative 10. Negative 10 times x, and negative 10 times negative 10. So it's x squared, negative 10x, negative 10x, and positive 100. These don't cancel. They give me negative 20x because I add them together. Now you got to come over here and write x squared minus 20x plus 100, and we can't forget to move the 9x. We don't want to just go to the t-chart here. You got to move the 9x. So minus 9x minus 9x. So negative 20 minus 9 is negative 29. So x to the second minus 29x plus 100 equals 0. Now we have a trinomial we can factor. There's two answers to it. You can make your GCF and your t-chart. A equals 1. Okay, question mark. Okay, GCF, I looked through that. I don't have one. Okay. And then A, B, C, 1 times 100 is positive 100, sum of 29. And if I divide that by 4, I get 25. That's 29. And A is equal to 1. So x, 4 and 25. So I have minus 29. So I got to have minus 25. And a sum means they're both minus. Okay. So x minus 4 equals 0. X minus 25 is 0. So plus 4, x equals 4. Plus 25, x equals 25. Okay, so this one here I did a box. So first, not a circle, okay? I first divide by the 5. And by the way, I'm looking for 3 answers. You're not going to find all 3, but... So x to the third, I take 1,080 divided by 5. That gave me 216. Okay, so a third power means we do a cubed root. Cancel that and cancel that. Now, this is not a power, it's a root. Okay, it is an odd root, so we don't need the plus minus. But to calculate that, what we need to do is take 216 to the power of 1/3. I got 6. There's no plus minus, and that's x, so that's your only answer. Okay, next up, q to the 5/3 power minus 73 equals 170. So I add 73, So q to the 5/3 power equals 243. And then I take both sides to the 3/5 power. So that's q. Now on 3/5, this is your power to the third power, and the 5 is your root. It's up on the board too with the 256. The root is odd, so we don't need the plus minus. This guy here, circle him. He's odd, no plus minus. So 243 to the power of 3/5 is 27. Okay, so it's not plus negative, so I don't do that side. I just put 27 here and x minus 5. So plus 5, x equals 32. And yeah. Okay, next up. Rationalize, eliminate the I or the square root by multiplying. There's only one number as my answer, okay, on all these. So, is there a plus or minus? No, so we're just going to times by the square root of 2. So I put a 7, and then 2 times 2 is 4, but 4 is a perfect square, so get rid of that square root because that's 2, so 2 times 7 is 14. Just a good old regular number as our answer. Okay, here we have a plus, so we need to switch it over to minus, and then 6 square root 7, put a 1 in front, and now I do the FOIL. 6 times 6, 6 times negative 1 square root of 7. 1 square root of 7 times 6. And 1 square root of 7 times negative 1 square root of 7. So that's 36. That's negative 6 with the square root of 7. That's positive 6 with the square root of 7. Those cancel. And down here you're going to get negative 1, but the square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is the square root of 49, and the square root of 49 is just the number 7. So 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. So I take 16 and add negative 7. That's 9. Okay. Next, you see a plus or minus? No. So just times by the letter I. So 5i squared, that's negative 1. And 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Okay, 6 plus 2i. Switch that to minus, and 6 minus 2i. Now FOIL. So 6 times 6. 6 times negative 2i. 2i times 6. And 2i times negative 2i. So that's 36, negative 12i, positive 12i, and that's negative 4i to the second. So that I to the second is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 4 is 4. Okay? So 36 plus 4 is 40. Okay, then the last problem, the graph. Y equals 3 times x plus 5, the square root of x plus 5 minus 5. Well, first off, I don't want that plus 5 there, so I'm going to rewrite it without the square root of x, but I do want to include the minus 5. Now, if x is in a square root, it only makes sense for me to pick perfect squares to put in there so it comes out nice and clean. So 0, 1, 4, and 9. Okay, so 3, and then second square root. You can put 9 in that square root, close it, and minus 5. I got 4. Again, you can also parenthesize a 9 and take it to the 1/2 power, because that's what a square root means. Either way is good. Okay, 4, 3, second square root, 4, minus 5 is 1. Or again, you can also just put the 4 in parentheses and take that parentheses to the 1/2 power, whichever one makes more sense to you. That's 1. Okay, and then you're going down by 3, so negative 2, negative 5. Now this plus 5 here in the original, cross that out. Now we have to come back up here. The opposite of plus 5 is to minus 5, so I'm going to minus 5 to all these, not plus 5. So 9 minus 5 is 4, 4 minus 5 is negative 1, 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and negative 5. And remember, this is your stop point. So negative 5, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. Okay, negative 4, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, negative 1, up 1, and 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, tomorrow we will be conducting an oral review in class. If there's anything that's unclear, let me know.